Good morning, everyone. Just off some technical difficulties. It's not our show if it doesn't have technical difficulties. Frank is coming to us from his phone, and Chris is having the best luck out of all of us. I just had to reset my computer, but we're here. Sorry we are a little bit late. We're going to have some issues with keeping up with the chat a little bit, guys. That's the big issue we're going to probably have. But if you guys want to say hello, we'll definitely say hello to you in the chat. And oh my gosh. Yeah, it's just not good. Hey, look, it shows we have 0 people here. Everybody's having YouTube issues this morning.
Yeah.
We're not very popular people.
I bring the people. I brought the crowd, baby.
It's like I brought my crew with me.
Me and all my friends.
No, come on, man. That ain't right. You brought all your friends. I'd have 1,000 subscribers by now. Come on.
Yeah, I don't know about that now.
Let me see real quick what is going on here. Because this says we got 10 watching, so StreamYard is behind. I'm going to try to get this other chat going. There we go.
Yeah, I see people now.
Sorry, guys. Technical issues like crazy. Let's say hi to some people, though. We got Kat, the nurse flipper. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, Kat. Melanie Lightbeam is here. Melanie, thank you for hanging out. We got Nate Dizzle hanging out with us. Nate Dizzy, thanks for coming in, Nate. Dave Diggs, thank you for hanging out. Tommy 2.0, the bargain effect, thanks for coming with us, hanging out with us. Frank Jr., thank you, Frankie, for hanging out. It was good seeing you yesterday. Midwest, man, my Midwest bargains, thank you for coming and hanging out. We got the man, the myth, the jumper. Rev Resells here with us today. The man, the myth, jump and then hit a wall. Sonny's here. Sonny is my man. That dude is awesome. We've been chatting a little bit on Instagram and stuff. I'm gonna ask him to show me some things. We're gonna have you on the show, Sonny, if you don't mind. We need to talk to you about Instagram. You can teach us old timers something about Instagram. We got Jason Keegley. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Hip flipping mama. Hello, mama. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us today. Harry's here. Thank you for hanging out. Harry does some great lives. I was watching him the other night. He does some really good. He's got a lot of energy too. I like watching his show. Sonny, I'll get in touch with you. I'll hit you up on Instagram. We'll set that up. I'd love to have you on, and maybe you could show some things about Instagram that I just do not know. We got Matt. Matt is here. Phoenix Flippers, enjoying that nice weather down in Arizona. I hope at least before it gets too hot. So yeah, it's gonna be a little bit delayed on the chat, guys. My computer's acting a little crazy, and I'm having to use I'm getting delayed chat, but we'll get to you. So we're gonna start off with this, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, long overdue, much anticipated get together with Chris, the old school picker. What is up, Chris? How you doing, man?
Doing good. How are you guys?
Maybe a little bit anticipated, much overdue. Chris was joking already. He's trying. I brought all my friends. It showed 0 people. He's like, I brought all my friends. Come on, Chris. We know you got friends for days.
I brought my one friend with me, guys. So he's over here.
Hey, with the accent alone, you know Chris got friends. He could just be like,
right.
Yeah, I mean, all of us people that don't have an accent are always jealous. For at least I can say, I'm always jealous of someone that has a great accent.
I don't have an accent.
Yeah, you don't. We have the accent,
right? Right. Y'all sound funny to me.
What's that southern drawl? Wisconsin?
No. Tennessee, baby. Tennessee.
All right. We got Crystal in the house. Thank you for hanging out with us, Crystal. Just want to say hi to her real quick. So yeah, we're gonna start hitting Chris with some questions. But anybody in the chat, I'm gonna try to keep up my best. I'm the worst at it. If anybody doesn't know yet, I'm the worst at it. But if you have any questions for Chris, go ahead and put them in the chat, and I'll try to keep up. I just want to start. What got you, Chris? What got you started into reselling?
Really, honestly, back probably when I was 10, 11, 12 years old. My dad was a huge coin collector, and we used to go to flea markets in the summer when it was too hot to fish. We went to the flea market on Saturdays. So he would stop at all these booths that sold coins. And coins, I appreciate them now, but when I was 10, 12 years old, that was kind of boring.
Right,
But
yeah,
we ran up on this one booth that had an old guy, had two guys in the same booth. And the old guy, he was probably in his 60s or 70s. He sold coins. So my dad would sit there and go see him every Saturday and talk coins and just look at all what he had for sale. But the guy beside him that was in the same booth was a younger guy, probably about 30, and he sold baseball cards. Well, me being 10, 12 years old, I was already into sports big time. I grew up a Braves fan. My dad loved the Braves. At 6:35 Central Time every day, TBS.
Yep,
my TV was on the Braves.
I was on WGN. I was a Cubs.
Yeah, the Cubs. Yeah. You had two choices in my house: a Braves fan or play outside at 6:35.
Yeah, right.
So being a baseball fan already, and of course this was mid to late 80s. Baseball card market was getting ready to boom. And $1 a pack. Back then, some of them was 50 cents a pack.
Mm-hmm.
I got like a $10 allowance, I think. So I just bought baseball cards, and I got into it. The more I got into it, and what was cool though was to get me into the reselling. I was in 6th, 7th, 8th grade, somewhere in there, and I would take that $10 allowance and spend it on baseball cards, and keep the ones I wanted, and the ones I didn't want, I would take to school and trade or sell. So a lot of times I would take that $10 and turn it into $20, $30 at school during the next week. And plus I got to keep the cards I wanted. So
right.
So were you the young school picker back then?
yeah, I guess so. The new school.
The new school, right?
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, we got
the picker.
I get the self-proclaimed number one on your roster, number one in your hearts, just is in the house because you can't leave. Why can't you leave, Dan? We don't want you to leave. Stay and hang out with us, Dan. I was just joking. You're the number one in all of our hearts.
Kat said she was obsessed with Dale Murphy, and he was my first favorite player.
Hey, so little fun fact about Dale Murphy: he was the first major free agent the Colorado Rockies. He came to Colorado, and I believe he was stuck at 498 home runs.
398.
398.
Yeah.
And man,
he never got it.
All we wanted in Denver was for him to hit those two dingers to get him to 400, and he never did it. It was.
I guess I remember that, but I don't.
It
came to the right place to do it.
It's probably the thing that kept him out of the Hall of Fame too, because I wish he would get in, and I think he deserves to be in. But I don't know if he ever will, because he was such a good guy. He played a great career. He won National League MVP twice.
Correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't Atlanta Stadium known for being hard to hit home runs in?
No. Okay, the old Fulton County Stadium, it was known as the launching pad.
No, what I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of, who was the guy for the Astros that was really good? And that stadium, a long time ago. Anyways, he's been
Bagwell, Jeff Bagwell.
No, way before him, like Glenn Davis or something like that. I don't remember.
Glenn Davis, yes.
Yep, Glenn Davis. How that just pop? That's when your old stuff just pops in your head like that. Like I couldn't think of it for nothing. Then all of a sudden, Glenn Davis.
Yeah. He played for somebody else, and he was putting up big numbers, and he went to Houston. But that was back when they played at the Astrodome. That place was huge.
Yeah, Kelly Leak had a good game there one day, and that was Bad News Bears. My bad.
Yeah,
hey,
that's a good movie.
Best offer queen is in the house. Aaron, thank you for hanging out with us. Maggie Doodle's here. I just like saying that name. We'll just leave right there for a little bit. Maggie Doodle, thank you for hanging out with us. Oh, we got Todd's here. I'm gonna skip my flipping hustler. Thanks for hanging out with us, Todd. So Frank, I went with the first question. You got a question for Chris, Frank? I'm gonna try to catch up, see if there's any that dropped in the chat real quick. I see one already, Dan. I see you, Dan. Go ahead, Frank.
But yeah, so yeah, kind of back on the Dale Murphy thing. So yeah, that was I was living here in Denver. I was working at the old Mile High Stadium with the inaugural season, and like I said, he was going to be like my favorite Rocky player when I heard we had signed him. I wasn't a huge baseball fan back then, but he was one of those names you knew, right?
Yeah,
and
he was pretty much washed up by the time y'all got him.
Yeah, unfortunately, he was definitely. He was like our Joe Flacco this past year with the Broncos, washed up and done. But I do have a quick question for you because this is something that kind of hits home to me a little bit. Can you explain to me? I don't know the full story, to be honest with you, Chris, but I always notice your dry erase board in the background on your show, on your videos.
Mm-hmm.
But I may have missed a video where you explained it. So can you explain to me your autism awareness sign and what that's about? Because the reason why I ask you that is my goddaughter, her son, who my wife and I babysit for her, her son has autism. He's about 2 years old. So that kind of hits home with me a little bit. So I was just curious about the autism awareness thing.
Yeah. I usually switch it out every few weeks, but I've let April is Autism Awareness Month for those that don't know. So I've kind of left it up, and underneath it says MS Awareness, which was in March.
Okay.
But to get to autism awareness, my youngest son, he's 14. He just turned 14. He has autism. And so, yeah, it's trying at times. He's nonverbal. So that would put him on the, more, I hate to use the word severe, but that would put him more on the severe level. He's,
looks like Frank froze up a little bit on us, but he just dropped a
Yeah, but he's come a long ways. He has a speech board. It's basically an iPad with a program on it that he can touch buttons and it speaks for him. And he just got that about 6 months ago, I guess it was, and he's done really well because he gets aggravated when he's wanting something but he don't know how to express it.
Right.
Me and my wife, of course, have been around him our whole lives, so we pretty much know what he wants before he wants it. But everybody else is the problem. But the speech board has helped him to learn to communicate. And my wife has MS. That's where the MS awareness comes from.
So can I ask, how does that board work? Is that electronic? I don't know a lot about it, but that's definitely something that sounds pretty awesome. How does that work?
Yeah, it's actually an iPad, but it only has that program on it. He can't get to anything else on the iPad. And Crystal, her son's autistic as well. But it has pictures like it has, like, for example, it has breakfast, lunch, supper, and he can go on it and hit I want breakfast, and then it pulls up pictures of everything that we have in our house. We have to keep it pretty much updated. So if he wants pancakes for breakfast, he would hit breakfast. It goes down to pancakes, sausage, cereal, or whatever. He hits pancakes and it'll say, I want pancakes. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it sounds so simple, but imagine not being able to talk. people take communication for granted.
I'm sure some people have imagined me not being able to talk.
No, but he's 14 and he's never spoke a word ever. He's made a few sounds that sound like words, like baby gibberish, but he's never really spoke.
My nephew is actually there teaching him sign language.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see him, like, and I don't remember the exact, but like when he, like he wants something to drink and his cup is getting empty, he'll sit there and he'll go like that to tell us, so it's interesting that I just find the human body and the mind amazing that, like you said, unfortunately that some ways you can verbalize what you want to say, but they're able to take in the information to communicate in other ways. So it's just,
and sign language, we went down that road as well. My son, Kobe, Coby, he knows a few signs. But the problem with sign language is if the person he's trying to communicate with don't know sign language.
Right.
Yep.
And yeah, me and my wife, we didn't care to learn it, but grannies and grandpas and aunts and uncles and they all have to know it too, or they can't communicate. So
exactly,
that's what makes sign language tough.
Yeah.
I want to say hi to a couple of people. We got Raymond Dominguez, aka PD Dominguez, Frank's brother. What's up, PD? Thanks for hanging out with us. Tommy Bernhard. I just butchered that. Bernhard, thank you for hanging out with us, Tommy.
That's my YouTube mentor.
Yeah. He cracked us up yesterday, man. He had us laughing.
Tommy's a good guy.
A couple times where I stopped, you guys almost had to call 911 when I stopped breathing.
The good thing about Tommy is if you think you have a lot of haters, go on his channel because he has more haters than anybody. So it'll make you feel good about yours.
Real quick, so I'll be on. Everybody, make sure if you haven't subscribed, there's a link right there. Go check out Best Offer Queen. I'll be on her show tomorrow. I'll be a guest on her show. We're gonna have some fun, a little bit of a game show theme. Check it out. Go subscribe. Make sure you're there with us tomorrow. It's gonna be a good time. Yeah, Erin's funny. She has a great sense of humor, and get us together. It's gonna be a fun time. We're gonna just have a really good, fun, laughing time, and try to get a game show in there somehow, somewhat.
Yeah, I think we're actually kind of in a roundabout sort of way, Uncle B. We're kind of going against each other tomorrow night on the show, if I'm not mistaken, the way the kind of format's going to work. So,
all right,
that's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to that.
Erin brings the big YouTubers in.
Yeah, right. She got the big hitters.
she brings the heavy hitters.
Big hitter right here. Come on, now.
No, I got 500 subs, brother. I ain't big.
Chris, you're bottom feeding going on our show, so we're honored to have you on the show.
Right? Yeah, you took a step down coming and hang out with us.
No.
Why are we on top? You should be on the top. We should be down on the bottom.
I'm just an idiot selling out my garage, man. Oh, man. That's all I am.
And you're getting so I was talking to you before the show, I watched your first video earlier this morning.
That's and
now watching what you're doing now with your editing and stuff, I see you're starting to have some fun with it, and I'm definitely enjoying some of the sound effects and some of the stuff you're doing on your show. So,
yeah,
just taking those steps up and up and up, you're working your way. It's. I just love watching people. For the most part, everybody in here, I've watched your first video, just so you know.
Well, when I first got started, I didn't take YouTube serious until kind of the first of the year, and then I kind of started taking it serious. And what encouraged me is I went back and watched some of the bigger channels' first shows. I went back and watched some of Garage Flips, Lonnie, Cincinnati Picker, Justin, and all of them.
I went back and watched some of Garage Flips.
Hold on, guys. Sorry.
Lonnie.
That have really big channels now. And I'm not going to say their first few shows were bad, because they wasn't. But they're not as good as they are now. So
yeah, you can see them.
Everybody improves. Yeah.
Yep. And that's what I've seen it already with you. Your live shows with the guests are great as well. I'm not even trying to I beat on that dead horse, because you do have some really good questions. I brought up. I got one question. We're just gonna roll with it.
Google is your friend.
We lost Frank. Yep.
Google is your friend on that. Google questions.
Right. Okay. That's safe. There's some good advice. I just kind of roll with it.
I keep a notepad beside me a lot, and I'll watch a lot of lives, interviews, and I'll just I'll hear a good question. I'll be like, yeah, that's a good question to ask. So I keep a running list of questions. I watch a lot of YouTube, a lot.
Someone's trying to meet some criteria there. I've been working on that criteria too, Erin. You can't get on Erin's show because she only has big hitters on her show.
She only has the heavy hitters.
Yeah, but she's got, you got Dale. We got Dale Murphy, but then you got Hank Aaron. Hank Aaron is on her show.
Right. That interview with Tesla Picker was awesome, though. She done a good job. He's funny.
Frank's having some technical. Oh, there he is. He's back. Now we put him down there. You're down.
My internet's back up. Yay!
Hey.
Your phone.
A couple people in. Angie Resells, thanks for hanging out with us. And I just saw Casey dropped in. Carolina Hustler. Where did he go? There he is. Thank you for dropping in. Oh, Brandon just dropped in as well. Thank you for hanging out with us, Brandon. Looking for questions, guys. If anybody has any questions. So I was watching your one of your earlier videos, and you sold a He-Man toy. And Chris, every time I talk to him, he's got to make sure, let us know that He-Man is fire right now. And so I was trying to do some research as to why Chris was promoting He-Man so much. I was like, what? I mean, I love He-Man. Frank loved He-Man. I love the toys. I was like, this guy, I saw you sold one early on in one of your videos. I was like, why is this guy just, hitting, banging the table for He-Man? And I got some information on him, guys. Early casting. There was some early casting for He-Man toys and action figures, and I dug up this gem right here.
Oh, wow.
That's where it all started from. They scrapped it, but he was initially going to be He-Man.
Man, I wish I looked like that. I'm about the same height.
So then I had to do a little research on why Frank was promoting wrestlers.
Oh, boy.
And why he's always promoting his wrestling toys. And I found this gem right here.
That's Andre the Giant figure.
See, you guys know. And then he's like, I picked up a Transformer the other day. Gonna sell that bad boy. Oh, sorry, I had too much fun with this guys. And then Frank was like, look, I don't discriminate when it comes to wrestling characters.
Ooh,
nice beard.
And I was like, Frank is gonna lose his head over this one.
good grief. That's some.
I've been waiting to do that all show, guys. Sorry, I had to do it.
So, truth.
Oh my God!
Me and Jimmy were hanging out. It was about 11:30 last night, and he's like, "Okay, I can't wait anymore. I got to show you these pictures. I'm not going to wait till tomorrow."
Like a kid.
I'm like, no, just let it go. Let it go naturally. I don't want to see him tonight. So this is the first time I've seen these. Everybody.
Yeah, that was awesome.
There may be some
first time Frank's seen what? First time you've seen this, you can't unsee that, right?
Right.
I like this one too, though. Chris looking good, man. Chris been working out.
That's awesome.
You might want to reconsider that swing or whatever you call that there.
That should have been your thumbnail.
Sorry, guys. And then I had to do this one because he's about to sell. Did you sell that Megatron yet?
Not yet.
Are you keeping it or are you going to sell it?
It's listed.
It's listed?
Yeah, I just want somebody to pay up for it.
I hear you. Hold the value on that, man. So yeah, that one of those wrestling figures might stick around for a while on this channel. That might become a
I'd say we'll see those again.
One. If you want us to keep this picture, one. Yeah. Put a 1 in the chat. If you think this is the one that should stick with the show, put 2. That's Andre. That's Frank the Giant right there, though. That's a tough.
That should be Junior. You should have put Junior's face on that one.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, 2 is my favorite.
Right there. I like this one.
Was that Chris? Who was your favorite?
I like number 2. I like the Andre the Giant.
What?
I like that one too.
As Anthony would say, what?
Hey Jerry, Tony and Dan are like, dude, keep popping that picture up because they're getting some free advertising with you doing that.
Looks like Andre the Giant is winning right now. Bailey is coming up on. We got a 3, so that means both. Go with 2. It looks like Andre the Giant body is winning right now. So you might see this one here and or there every once in a while pop up on the show, or do you want to just go with what?
Read Tommy's comment. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I've seen that. Light switch.
I'll let you all.
Oh man, that's good stuff.
Have you seen that documentary on Andre?
I'll send it over.
Yeah.
Have you seen that? Have you seen that documentary on Andre on HBO?
Oh yeah, that's a great.
Good show.
Man. I know, like Frank. I'm a big wrestling fan, especially when I was younger. But Frank and his brother and his kids are all really huge. So like when a documentary comes out or a special comes out, they're like, Jimmy, you got to watch this.
Yeah.
Like, watch what's the series that just came out, Frank?
Dark Side of the Ring or Dark Side of the Ring.
You watch those, Chris?
Yeah, I've watched several episodes. I just watched the me and my oldest son. He's 19, and we're big fans. We just watched the Chris Benoit one here a few weeks ago.
Got a new face in the house, DLJ from PA. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Hello to you. We got Chris Thrift Beast. That guy, I love that logo. I mean, Anthony said it the other day. That logo, he nailed it, man. Like that's my favorite logo.
Good.
Right.
So you all, if you anybody want to challenge him, make a new logo. Right now, he's winning.
Yeah.
That's, in my opinion.
So hey, I was telling Anthony about a week ago on one of his shows that actually, you know who Vince Russo is? Obviously, he actually lives. Me and Jimmy see him at the thrift stores all the time.
Yep.
That's cool.
He lives here in the Denver metro area, so It
was funny because I was like, that's for sure him because he's wearing a sports jersey. He used to always wear a sports jersey. Remember?
Yep.
He was wearing a San Francisco Giants jersey with the sleeves cut off, and I was like, that's him, man. 100%.
He's kind of hated in the wrestling community, though.
You know, honestly, because the few people I've told, I'm like, hey, you can't believe we just saw Vince Russo at the Arc, and they're like, well, what did he say? Did you talk to him? I was like, I'm gonna be honest with you. This was my opinion. Like you said, Chris, he is literally probably, and I know it's a touchy subject, but he's probably number 2 behind Chris Benoit when it comes to the most hated man in professional wrestling. So at that point, I'm sure at this point the dude lives in Brighton, Colorado. He just wants to be left alone. So me and Jimmy weren't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We actually, I ended up talking to him afterwards, and he was like, "Oh no, you should have said hi to me." Blah blah blah. So then another time we were actually walking into the store when he was walking out. So I just dropped a real quick, "Hey Vince, what's up?" And he's like, "Hey guys, how you doing?" Whatever. But yeah, we've kind of tried to honestly leave him be a little bit because, like I said, he's
right.
I'm sure he's got his days of heckling for sure.
Yeah.
I went to vacation. I went saltwater fishing in Florida one time, and we flew to Atlanta and then flew to Florida, and then on the way back, we was flying from Atlanta back to Nashville. And we got on a smaller plane because it didn't fill up. So we got on one of those that's just got the 2 seats per row, And we were carrying our bags on. We just had backpacks. And I went down there with some friends of mine. And a guy taps me on the shoulder. And he said, "Hey, man, I think they want you to leave all your luggage underneath, I don't think they're allowing carry-ons on this flight." And I turn around and it's Jeff Jarrett.
Oh, really?
And I'm like, and this was back when he was with TNA. I said, "Hey man," I said, "You're Jeff Jarrett." I said, I bet I looked like a total fanboy too. I said, "Man, you're Jeff Jarrett." I said, I watch TNA a lot. I said, I'm a big wrestling fan. And my buddy, his name was Robert, and I slapped him. I said, "Robert, it's Jeff Jarrett." And this boy, you just got to know him. He goes, "Whoa, NASCAR." I just shook my head. I said, "No, man, he's a wrestler." he thought it was Dale Jarrett. I said, "You're thinking of Dale Jarrett." So we looked like a bunch of total idiots in front of Jeff Jarrett.
I was like, "What's talking about NASCAR?"
Yeah. So I was like, "Oh my God, never mind." I just took my luggage and put it underneath. I was like, I'm not even going to speak to him anymore at this point. We just ruined our whole credibility.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, I'm trying to find a picture so I can show you guys one of my. But go ahead, Jimmy. While you can talk.
A lesser name, but I was in Arizona because I lived in Arizona for a while, and I was at a Subway. And I had just ordered my sub, and then I hear behind me, Frank does a better impression of his voice. But I hear behind me, "Yeah, can I get a foot-long sub?" And also,
Macho.
No, Frank could do it better. He's all hello.
I'd have to,
He's all hello, lady.
Hello. So, could I get a foot-long sub sandwich? Because it was Val Venus, right?
Oh, Val Venus, yeah.
Val Venus. I was like the voice. If you ever seen Val Venus, he has that most distinct. And he used to go, hello, ladies.
Ladies, yeah.
So he's all, hello, can I get a foot long? And I look back and there's Val Venus standing behind me. Frank's met the biggest name, though.
So my sister works for a limousine company, so she calls me one day and she's like, hey, she goes, we're trying to figure out who this person is, but it's like a special VIP guy
talking about
that we got to greet at the airport and take him, to his private car, this and that and the other. So she tells me his name. So I landed up going with her out there, and I don't know how well you could see the picture, but it was
Hogan.
Holster.
Yeah.
So he was under his real name, which was Terry Bollea. And I go, well, what's the name? And she's like, it's Terry Bollea or something. I was like, no, that's Hulk Hogan. And she's like, what? And I was like, so it's funny, a little story about when we met him at the airport, because it was like late at night, so there was nobody there. Very strategic the way he's flying in. But there were some people that noticed him, obviously. So if you look at the picture, and again, you can't see it too great, but he's just kind of standing next to me, and he does, he's doing this peace symbol while he's, He would do that to all the guys that wanted a picture with him. But every time a female would come up and want a picture, he'd be like, yeah, sure, brother, I'll take a picture with you. Then when the women would come, then he'd stand next to him, and then he'd be like, flexing his guns and everything with all the women in the pictures. And for us, she was just like,
flex his guns, and Frank was like, what?
The other thing that's funny about it, I'm 6 foot tall on a good day. He was maybe 2 inches taller than me. He's not very tall. He definitely isn't the 6'8" or 6'10" that they play him out to be in on TV.
He's had 6 or 8 back surgeries. Yeah, he's probably shrunk.
Yeah, no kidding.
Rev met some big names. Look at those names Rev met. Dang, Rev. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Lex Luger. Lex Luger, that guy's rough these days, though.
Man.
Luger's bad.
This is funny because my wife calls Mick Foley her boyfriend. And I'm like, really, Mick Foley? It's his personality. Obviously, she went for personality.
Yeah, I like wrestling. We need to do a reselling wrestling show one night. I know Chris Thrift Beast is a fan, and I know there's some others. Anthony, he used to be one, so I know he'd be a part of it.
So yeah, another funny quick story. So back in the early 90s, everybody, wrestling fans know the AWA, based out of Minnesota, Vern Gagne, the whole 9 yards. Mm-hmm. My mom and dad were flying either to or from Las Vegas, and they were on the same airplane as the entire AWA roster. So back then, when they were portraying wrestling as to be 100% legit and real,
right,
my mom and dad were laughing because all the good guys were sitting next to the bad guys, and they were talking and carrying on or whatever. And my mom and dad were like, "Hey, this kind of took all the glitz and glamour away from what pro wrestling was," because
Yeah.
Rev, come on.
That's true. That's true.
Oh, Rev gonna get us started this morning already.
Yeah, the
Rev said he's 6'3".
He's 6'3".
Nah, if he was 6'3", he would have made that jump.
Right?
Woo!
You guys remember the wrestler Too Cold Scorpio?
Yep.
What's that?
The wrestler Too Cold Scorpio. So the rumor about him was he could pee off the Golden Gate Bridge and say, "Damn, this water's cold and deep." Because he was.
You were in the locker room somewhere or something.
That was in actually Mick Foley's "Have a Nice Day" autobiography. He talks about that.
Yeah, I've read that. That's a good book.
Great book. I've read that book multiple times.
Foley's he's a real good writer.
So, were you big into wrestling toys at all, though? Did you do all the what was that brand called? I don't know.
Yeah, I had a bunch of them. I'll tell you a story about that. I had all the original ones from when I was a kid. And we set up on the 127 yard sale one year. And me and my brother-in-law was both set up. And heck, we got the wanting to go look, too, as well. So we left his wife at the yard sale. And I just had those wrestling figures out there in case anybody wanted to make me a really good offer, because they were my childhood ones, So I didn't really want to sell them. Well, I forgot about them and left them there. And while me and him was going looking, she sold them for $1 a piece.
Chris was like, "Where's my Andre? I can't buy Andre."
Oh, I had King Kong Bundy, I had Hogan, I had Piper, I had the Andre the figure.
Oh man!
And some of them can be worth good money. But
are you with us?
it was my sister-in-law. What are you gonna say? It was like, oh, you got $1 a piece? Thank you.
So you and Frank could like hug it out and have share a memory together. Frank's got the exact same story.
So, drop her comment in. She just commented it. So I spoke about it in the past. We were one below Jimmy, my sister's comment.
Yeah, that's what I did. Oh, that was
so we're having a garage sale, and I'm actually having my wrestling figures because I'm playing with them in the front yard.
Yeah.
And I probably at this point, dude, I'm here to
he
tell
was
you.
17.
Yeah, I was, I probably had 40 or 50.
It's just 2 years ago.
Yeah, this last weekend, actually. But I used to carry them in a milk crate. That's how many of these wrestlers I had. And I had the ring, I had the cage, I had everything. My mom and dad even bought me like the Mean Gene Okerlund figure. So I had my guy to do the interviews. I had the referees. I had everybody. So my mom and dad are having this garage sale, and I'm over here off in the corner playing with my wrestlers in the front yard. And I had to go inside, use the restroom or something. I came back out, and my crate, everything's gone.
Oh, my God, yeah.
You know what Frank did? Frank was like, "What?"
Yeah, and my sister, Antoinette, who's in the chat right now, brags to me how she got me like $8
for the whole crate. Yeah.
Like did Frank freeze? He froze again. Dang it. Oh,
yeah.
You're back. All right, he's back. You froze for a second, Frank. Yeah, I like Frank had to cry. If he didn't cry, I don't like that's the point in your life where you can cry.
So to give you an idea, this is how much of a using the wrestling terms. I know Thrift Beast used kayfabe earlier in the chat. I was such a wrestling mark back then that I bought like the wrestling album and the Pile Driver album. So when I would play with my wrestlers, I would literally get my record player and play like Real American, and then I would walk Hulk Hogan down the aisle to get into the ring. I mean, I was back in the early or mid 80s, Circle K, which was in Arizona, they had a promotion. They had a 6 foot tall life-size cardboard cutout of Hulk Hogan. I had one of those. I mean, I was just beyond geeked out on wrestling. I still am to a point. I still love, like I was telling Uncle B earlier, WrestleMania somewhat being canceled. They did it still, but it was to me, I love the pageantry, the pyrotechnics, the entrances, all the stuff that goes along with it. My brother Ray and my cousin Dan, who are in the chat, we actually went and saw the very first WrestleMania on closed circuit TV back when it was closed circuit. So, yeah,
I've always been a wrestling fan. Not so much just I like the behind the scenes stuff of it, and then also what they put their body through is crazy. So you got to respect them. I mean, they wrestle, I think, on average, like 300 days a year. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean,
the toll on their bodies, right?
Well, how many old wrestlers do you know?
Right.
They don't have a great life expectancy. So, so you got to respect them.
We had quite a few people drop in the chat. Thank you, everyone that's recently joined. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us. We're just having a good time. We started talking about toys. It kind of went into wrestling toys. But yeah, any questions you guys have in the chat, drop them in there. We love toys, video games, but any topic you guys want to hit on, any topics, put a topic and we'll talk about that topic. If you guys wanted us to change the record, if you want us to keep going on wrestling, because we could talk wrestling all day.
I can talk wrestling all day.
Yeah, or wrestling.
Wrestling.
So you guys keep going, and I'm going to watch the chat, look for anything that anybody wants to hit on or any questions.
I had a bunch of the not NWA, the AWA figures as well.
Remco?
Yeah, and I had the wooden ring, and I think it's pretty rare, but I don't know what happened to it.
There was a wooden one, huh?
Uh-huh. And it had like a canvas mat on it. It was pretty cool. I had the WWE ring, but I also had the AWA ring.
Wow.
Yeah, my brother and my dad and my uncle Donald, who is my cousin Dan's dad, they tried to make me a wrestling ring before they.
I was reading that. Yeah.
It was interesting. I'll give them the A for effort, but it was pretty bad.
So here's a good question. Sorry, the chat just kind of it skipped on me, guys, but I saw a good. Oh, your sister had a good question right here.
Yeah, she said, "What do the wrestlers sell for today?" Honestly, Antoinette, if I had like those figures, if they were still in the plastic and everything, some of them can go for hundreds to thousands of dollars, just depending on the figure, how rare they are. So literally, I mean, my complete collection would probably be worth somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000 today if they were still in the original packaging. But even loose now, they're Chris? They're probably $15-$20 a piece, even loose, if not more, depending on the figure.
Yeah, I would say on average. And what's funny about action wrestlers, but also just all action figures in general, the less popular figure is worth more money because they didn't. The Hogan figures, you went in every store and they had hundreds of them, but you get some of them other figures that wasn't as popular as wrestlers, they might only have 2 or 3 of those, so that they will always be worth more.
I definitely want to hit this question, then we'll change the record a little bit because Rev had a good question too. Let's hit this question real quick. We'll all answer it. Chris, you want to go first? Who's your favorite wrestler of all time?
It would probably be a tie between Macho Man and Jake the Snake. I generally like the heels better, the bad guys.
Right.
But yeah, they were 2 of my favorite. What Macho Man could do in the ring was unbelievable. He had the best flying elbow of anybody. A lot of people do it and have done it in the past, but nobody done it better than him.
Yeah.
And Jake the Snake was, and it's good to see him back with AEW. His behind the scenes work and his mic work was unbelievable. Yeah. He was a solid wrestler. But
he had that sinister feel to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was solid in the ring, but I wouldn't put him as an athlete, He always had a gut on him, but he carried that snake. And I mean, he made you think when I was a kid, I thought when him and Macho Man fought and the snake bit Macho Man on the arm.
The Cobra, yep.
Oh, holy crap. That scared the crap out of me. I mean, I was like, he has killed the Macho Man.
You don't look at your pillowcases the same after watching the match with him.
Yeah. I love those 2.
How about you, Frank? Who is your favorite wrestler of all time?
So, I mean, obviously, as a kid, obviously, it was Hulk Hogan just because he was the biggest star at the time. But now looking, 20 years later, 30 years later, I would say one was, and may he rest in peace, but Eddie Guerrero. I love being a Hispanic myself and then seeing him go to that level of being the world champion and all that. I mean, I know it's all fake, but for him to get that push and everything, and he was such a great performer, and he fought a ton of demons and to overcome his demons and then to unfortunately pass away while at the height of his career so I loved Eddie Guerrero. And honestly, the number 2 one that has impressed me was honestly, my wife has spoke about him a few times in the chat, was Diamond Dallas Page, not necessarily for what he's done what he did as a pro wrestler, starting at the age he did. He's 35, 36.
I think so.
What he got into pro wrestling. But what he has done with his DDP yoga with Jake the Snake Roberts and Scott Hall, and then he's got some other amazing videos of some other people that he has taking these Army veterans that were injured or war veterans that were in wheelchairs and they're walking today because of what he's doing with his yoga stuff is amazing to me. So he's another one that I have a ton of respect for. But
yeah, the fact that he didn't get started into wrestling until he was in his mid-30s is
right. That's
crazy. Crazy.
29 in the chat. Thank you, everyone, so much for hanging out. We just had Flip with Chris drop in. Thank you so much for hanging out, Chris. I'm gonna answer that. I want to go to Rev's question to Chris. I liked Brutus the Barber Beefcake. I just loved his whole gig, and when he would cut people's hair, and he had the big do the scissors. Yeah, so I mean, he was definitely my favorite. He had a good shtick, if you will, and I loved it when he would cut someone's hair. So
after he went to WCW, though, man, they ruined him.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't even him. Like
Zodiac, that was horrible.
So, just to maybe change the record a little bit, because we've been talking wrestling for quite a while. I want to talk because Rev had a good question for you about sourcing. How you been doing on sourcing?
Yeah, it's been tough because I get a lot of my stuff through thrift stores or garage sales. And this winter, I made a very conscious effort to try to get all my death pile listed. And I would say I got 60 to 70% of it listed. And when I say death pile, I mean the good, the bad, the ugly. I mean, I've just been listing everything. So that was a great idea until, of course, they shut everything down and all the thrift stores are closed. And, of course, I was doing that in preparation for garage sale season. I was going to hit garage sales really hard this year. But since all this, I've been picking up a few things. I bought 2 different lots of video games last week on Facebook Marketplace. And I've been buying a few things on online auctions. So between online auctions and Facebook, and then plus what I've still got left, I'm glad I didn't get my death pile listed because it's bailed me out. So, and it's not good stuff, but it's better than nothing. So
yeah, but I'm in the same boat. Like I still have some of the stuff that I don't value as high in my death pile. So I've been still sourcing on Facebook, but it's been tough. I agree.
It's tough.
How you been doing, Frank?
Working through my death pile, same way. I'm just being like we talked about it before, just kind of limiting what I'm listing because the death pile is definitely dwindling fast on me. So just working through this so that way, because I know as soon as they lift everything, and my brother being one of my sourcers that gets our inventory, I know he's going to be buying stuff like crazy again, and that death pile is going to get right back up again. So just working through what I have, I've got, say, probably still a solid 75 pieces I can list. So again, that's why I'm doing 5-6 items a day.
I do have a couple of things that work in my favor. I live in such a very small town that pretty much everybody in this town knows I buy and resell. So when people have stuff, they'll reach out to me a lot of times, and that helps. There's nothing better than when your inventory finds you, instead of you having to find it. Just a week or so ago, I did put an ad on one of my local Facebook buy sell and trade groups, just of stuff I'm looking for. So, if you need inventory and you've not done that, I would recommend that. One of my video game buys from last week, it came from that ad. And I had a couple other people reach out to me with some stuff, but they wanted too much for it. So that didn't work out. But
real quick, I want to do a quick plug, if you will. Make sure you guys check us out tomorrow night. Me and Frank will be on Best Offer Queens channel. We're going to be doing a little game show theme over there and have some fun. We want to get her to, we all want to get to 500 subs. We're going to get everybody to 500 subs. She's working on that. She's going to have a big giveaway. She's going to dress up in a dinosaur outfit. So let's all jump over there and watch that tonight, hang out, and get some subs for all of us, all right? This is pretty cool right here. Like, that's awesome that you grew up around wrestling. That's crazy. Like, I couldn't even imagine, though. Like, that had to be – And I didn't miss you, Larry. I seen you in there. I just caught up to the chat. I was so far behind on the chat. Sorry I missed you when you first came in, but we had a great time with Larry yesterday.
The stash.
I mean, he had us laughing. Thanks for hanging out with us today, Larry.
That's the real Larry. I'm just the pretend Larry.
Will the real Larry please stand up? Please stand up. He said, I don't have to stand up. Stash does the talking. I told him yesterday when he walks into a room, you got to say hi to the mustache first because he's got an ego now.
Yeah.
He's got a big ego, and it's like, you better say hi to me first before you say hi to me.
The mustache comes around the corner, and a few seconds later, Larry comes.
Yeah.
As Frank's son would say, Larry, I must ask you a question, though. Did you find your pole yet?
Right.
We need to make a wrestling figure of the stash.
Right. I know that Iron Sheik wrestling figure had
right, that's true.
And the boots.
Stay tuned. We may have some surprises for tomorrow's show.
Right. If you hang out long enough, Larry, you might have your own action figure. And then we can make your own wrestling figure.
That's so bad. I have a feeling I'm going to see that picture a lot.
What are you talking? That's awesome, man. Look at how yoked you are, man.
I bet everybody's screen sharing that.
I think there might be a little bit of roid use right there. The leg is a bit smaller than the upper body. You're not looking like this.
No. I look more like that in real life.
No roids right here. This is no roids.
Andre didn't need any, you know. Look at that six-pack.
$6 million man. Frank had some work done.
Yeah.
Hey-o. No bra needed here.
I had to, Larry, but Larry's got his own action figure, but that's on Frank's channel.
Well, tomorrow. Chris, you hang out with us, you land up. So this morning I hopped on Victoria's show this morning at bright and early at 5:30, 6 o'clock this morning. And Larry's picture from yesterday's show even dropped on Victoria's show this morning.
That's what I'm saying. I have a feeling I'm going to see my He-Man guy again.
If I haven't said hi to you yet this morning, Moronic Pest, thanks for hanging out. Hello. As this chat grows, I'm definitely I'm learning how to keep up with it. It's not easy. I appreciate all those creators that keep up with the chat. It is not. I can't imagine. But keep it coming, guys. Questions, anything you guys want to talk about? We're having fun here with Chris. So, Chris, you picked up those Transformers. So I was going to say, you're talking about how you're lucky and not all of us have a yard sale that pops up 2 miles from our house and has an epic score like you found. If any of you guys haven't seen, Chris was like, yeah, this yard sale popped up down the street. I figure,
why not?
The heck? I'll go check it out. I'll even walk over there since it's so cool. I mean, he was so nonchalant about it. He's like, look what I found. He put like this Holy Grail Megatron toy in the box. I was like, it literally it was glowing so bright I couldn't see. It was all
and Optimus Prime.
And Optimus Prime.
Yeah,
man.
Both of them.
And he's got those on his store right now. If you guys want, is your store linked to your channel?
Yes.
Go to his channel. While you're there, subscribe, and then go to his eBay store and check that out, man. Just to look at it, like that brings back. I mean, I had those toys when I was a kid. Pretty sure they got thrown away at some point, but just seeing you hold up that box was just so nostalgic. And like I said, in my eyes, it was just.
You didn't believe me, did you?
Yeah, I was like, here we go. I was like, yeah, sure, you're right, Chris. He's all $2. I was all, yeah, you got a fake one, and he was like, boo.
Well, the guy, he buys storage units and cleans them out and brings them back to his storage unit and sells out of it. And he puts stuff on Facebook Marketplace at eBay values. But for whatever reason, this guy does not value toys. I don't know if he doesn't know or if he just doesn't care or what. But I always find stuff at his yard sale. And this was about 3-4 weeks ago, I guess, before we got totally locked down. And he always puts a Facebook post out that says he's having it this weekend. I thought, I know things are bad out right now, but I'm going to go up there.
Right.
I try to go every time he has it. He has it, I think, every couple of weeks. But he specifically wrote on this post, new inventory. So I was like, if he's got new stuff to look at, yeah, I got to go. And he had 4 different units rented out full of stuff to sell. And I was like, golly, he does have a lot of, because usually he's just got like 2. So I was like, yeah, he's got a lot of new stuff in. And I went in the first unit and I found just a couple of little things,
Right.
And most of his stuff at the yard sale is either $1 or $2. So, if you do find something, it's definitely, the price is right. That's for sure. I went in the first storage unit and found 2 or 3 things, worth $15, $20. I don't even remember what they were now, but then I went into the second one and I didn't get up early and go to this. He starts at 8:00 and it was like 10:30 before I made it up there that day. So the fact that they were still there for 2.5 hours is crazy. Yeah. But it was an original 1984 Optimus Prime in the box. Now the boxes are rough. Yeah, it looked a little better than that one. And the Megatron in the box. The boxes are rough, like I said, but the figures are complete. And when I first seen them, I seen them from a ways off as I was walking up to the unit, and I thought, yeah, they're remakes, but still for a couple of bucks, I'm gonna buy them.
Still buy them
because the remakes, I'm sure, are worth $20, $30, $40. And when I got up to them, I was like, no, I'm pretty sure this is the real ones. So I just got them and laid them down beside her, and I said, how much you want for these? She said, I don't know, $2 each. And I was like, yeah, I think I'll buy them. And I had no idea the value of them.
Take my money.
Yeah, I mean, I knew they were worth $50 to $100 at least.
Right.
But when I got them home, the Optimus Prime, I think, sells.
That's what I want to ask you. What do you got? If you don't mind me asking, what do you got them listed at for right now?
I've got them listed high.
I agree with that approach. So
I've got them listed for $250 each. And the Megatron is worth more than the Optimus Prime. I'm going to go on there in the next few days and reduce the Optimus Prime to probably about $179 or something like that. But I have best offer turned on. But I seen
run a sale, man. Run a sale.
Yeah.
Man.
When I was looking them up, the Megatron though, I seen several loose ones, no box at all, sell for over $200.
Nice.
So even with the box being as rough as it is, I don't think $250's an outrageous price to ask for it.
So can either of you guys see the chat? Just real quick, my chat is frozen. I haven't gotten a chat in unless nobody's leaving anything in the chat, but I've checked both of mine. They're both.
Yeah, I think mine's froze too.
So sorry, everyone in the chat. The chat is probably going to skip and dump in a little bit, because this is the last. Unless this is the last one that everybody saw. This is the last message I got a while ago.
Hey, Jennifer Hayes dropped in.
Oh, so you can see the chat, Frank. If you want to keep us updated on that, because I can't see it. This is literally the last thing I see right here on both screens.
Mine is slowly starting to pop up again, but and Tommy Bernard said it's frozen as well.
All right. Sorry, everyone that we're. So we'll just keep on going with some. Oh, I just dropped a little bit there. Jennifer Hayes dropping those links. Jennifer, if you don't mind, I'm going to be on Aaron's show tomorrow night, and Frank is as well. If you can find the link to that and drop that as well. I know Aaron has been, but we want to definitely promote that. Aaron's been a really good. I know everybody here pretty much knows Aaron. She's been a really good friend. She's been really supportive of me and Frank. We try to help each other out, and we're just really excited to be on her show tomorrow. So make sure if you guys have time tomorrow night, come hang out with us. It's gonna be a blast. We're gonna have a really good time, and we're gonna do a little game show, and she's putting that together. She's putting a lot of work into it too, y'all. So come hang out with us, and it'll be really fun. Yeah, it looks like it just dropped there. Thanks, Tommy. It was completely frozen on my end, on both screens. I had both screens frozen. We got January House. Thank you for joining us. Everybody, that all these new faces. I can't express enough. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We love having a good time and hanging out with you. If you guys want to chat about anything, I'm gonna try to catch up on this chat, see if there's any questions. Again, guys, leave any questions you have for us in the chat.
So, Chris, what other action figure lines do you like to? What do you look for particular ones? And like say you go to a garage sale. Is there a certain line you want to try to find at every garage sale, like Ninja Turtles or Transformers, Lego?
My favorite is He-Man. I know I talk about that a lot, but that was just. I'm not really I wouldn't call myself a toy expert by no means. I'm a toy lover. I just love them. That's my favorite thing to list and sell on eBay. The old action figures. I don't really get into the new stuff. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was kind of my cutoff. I think about the time they come out, I think I just discovered girls, which I should have stuck with toys probably, but
that's expensive.
Hold on. Right, that's recorded.
I say that because I'm assuming my wife's watching, so she'll probably roast me for that, but.
Hey, that's the sign of a healthy relationship. You can joke with each other, though, so that's good.
But when I go to a garage sale, yes, I look for any of the action figures. I mean, I will pick up newer stuff, but I just don't know as much about it. But He-Man, the old wrestlers, G.I. Joe figures I love. They're not as good. And the thing with G.I. Joe, they had so many accessories. And to get the good money, you just about have to have the accessories, and they're impossible to find.
Ones, or did you like the?
No, I like the lid. Yeah, the smaller ones. Yeah.
Articulating little. That's what I grew up with. What was your favorite cartoon? What was your favorite cartoon for? Because all those toys, I mean, it all started from cartoons, right?
Right.
What was your favorite one?
He-Man was one of my favorites, but I can't watch it now because it's just so silly. I love the G.I. Joe. I can still watch G.I. Joe cartoons. They're not as bad.
Being a little bit of the trouble down there.
Yeah, I will remember that OSP. Yep, see, that's her. I knew it. But one of my favorites, and probably my holy grail to find out in the wild, it would be the Voltron set.
Oh, yeah, man.
I would love to. I know it's not. I think you can buy it for about $200 on eBay. And it's not, to me, it's not buying it, to have. I want to find it in the wild. When I was a kid, my best friend that lived across the street from me, he had the Voltron, the diecast original set, and even back then, I think it was like $100, and I never had it, and I wanted it so bad.
So one Christmas, me and my brother got the Voltron sets. I got the Tigers. Did you ever see the ship one? Because there was ones that was a bunch of ships too.
There was one with cars. There was one with I think there was a dinosaur one. There was several different sets, but yeah, I want the lines, the original lines.
I want the lions, but for some reason it was like a bunch of different like ships and like little spaceships and stuff. That one intrigued me because it's harder to find. Like that one was pretty rare.
Yeah, I would say it's worth more than the lines because the lines was the most popular one. Yeah. And that goes back to what I was saying. The more popular it was back then, the less it's worth now because there were more of them. The rarer toys are going to be the ones that are worth more. Yeah, but that would be my holy grail to find in the wild would be the Voltron set.
I wanted to say hi real quick to David, the car boot picker. I love watching his live shows.
David's a great guy.
Good topics, yeah. Thanks for hanging out with us, David. I appreciate it.
But when I go to yard sales, that's one of the first things I look at. It's the toys.
So
toys and video games.
I learned a lot on the modern toys because my boys, watching what they played with. Like I learned a lot. That's where I learned about Bionicles. They love and Ben 10 stuff does really good right now.
Yeah. My oldest boy used to love Ben 10, and it has a following. Yeah, their toys do really good.
Yep. And so that that really helped me. And then even like my sister, I have a baby sister who's like 24. She was in a lot of the anime stuff, Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, and stuff like that. So I had all that information that I was able, because I paid attention to what they were playing with. I guess I don't know why, I just paid attention. And so I was able to, Power Rangers, watching them play with Power Rangers. Now the new stuff is a little bit, I don't like what, if anybody in the chat, and I'm not talking about kitty stuff. I know PJ Masks and I know, what's the one with the animals, but what's let's say if you had either a 10-year-old boy or girl, what's the popular toy with them right now? Is it Fortnite? Is it just Minecraft? Like what is popular right now? And Chris, you would know.
I would say the most popular thing right now is the Fortnite toys. Just guessing. Now, like I said, I don't know either because I don't keep up with the modern toys as much. I mean, if I find them at a yard sale, of course I'll pick them up if they're cheap. Right. But I would say the wrestlers, even the modern wrestlers, are still good too.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. Like, I see Fortnite stuff and I see Minecraft stuff, and it does good. I've done good on it. But like, what's the action figure that's big right now? Like, is there not even one that's big right now? That's kind of disappointing. We grew up with all He-Man, Thundercats, G.I. Joe, we grew up with all that. Multiple. And Chris froze on us. Y'all. Hopefully he'll be able to jump back in a second. But yeah, like, do you know of anything that's big right now, Frank?
I'll tell you this. I had to go to Walmart last night, and I just for the heck of it, I went into the toy section. I walked down hey, Sammy, I see she just dropped in. But I just walked down the action figure aisle, and I agree with you, man. It's like there's a WWE section, and then you got some of the same basic, but yeah, I don't see anything new. It's kind of like the world is cyclical. Everything that's old is new again. So there's a lot of stuff that we played with as kids. Say, Chris, I was just saying, my biggest thing I've noticed, I was walking down the action figure aisle last night at Walmart, and I don't see anything that's a new action figure that's come out that might be the go-to toy. Like I was telling Jimmy, it's like, obviously the world is cyclical, so everything that's old is new again. You're still seeing the tried and true figures are still out there, but there's nothing, unless I'm totally missing the boat on it. I don't see anything up and coming that's like the new. There hasn't been a new Joe or a new He-Man or the one thing talk about our childhood going crossing hairs. I don't know if I'm sure you've seen now. Masters of the Universe and WWE has their own line now, which
they're awesome. With action figures or with toys in general, you can usually follow the cartoons. If the cartoons are popular, chances are the toys are going to be popular.
And when's the last video games as well?
Yeah. And when's the last time a really good cartoon came out? I mean, cartoons are not the same as when. Cartoons was an event for us when we were kids, either mornings before school or Saturday mornings.
Right.
Cartoons are just nothing like they used to be.
It seems like they're all aimed towards really young kids. And maybe video games has broke that, like the kids that are 10, 11, 12 are playing video games, 9, 10. Pokemon's a big one. Pokemon still stood the test of time. It's still really popular right now. I'd say that's probably, if I could think of some that is still big and lasted the test of time, more recent, it would be Pokemon. Obviously, that's huge, especially with the Pokemon Go. That really made it take off. And
Marvel and DC still put out good figures. Lego is still huge. I hate buying used Lego though. I'm to the point I won't hardly do it. It's just too much work for the value unless it's still in the box, But yeah, toys. But that as toys not being as popular now, that in my opinion just increases the old vintage toys.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And I just don't understand why it's just not as big of a thing anymore. It's got to be video games, though, right?
It's video games, yeah. Well, that and cell phones. I mean, every 10-year-old has a cell phone now, so it's like,
Chris, you literally took the words out of my mouth.
I mean, how do you compete with that?
Right. Yeah, for sure. Like, even if a kid And nowadays, kids that do get toys, they're just putting them on the shelf for display. They're not even playing with them.
Yeah.
You know? They're just putting them up there to show. I mean, that's what we do now.
Right.
But, you know, when I was 9, 10, I was playing with toys. I was still playing with toys.
Yeah.
But obviously, like you guys said, I didn't have a cell phone, and the video game system I had at that age was like an Atari, which you can only bounce a ball off of a wall for so long before you're bored.
I had the original Atari 2600, the one with the wood grain cabinet. I had like 200 games for that thing. And then I upgraded to the Atari 7800, and I thought, man, wow. And then finally the original Nintendo came out, and I was hooked. I'm not really a gamer now, but when I was a kid, man, I played so much Nintendo. Oh my God.
Were you a Mario guy, or what games did you like on the Nintendo?
Yeah, Mario was okay. No, I much preferred The Legend of Zelda. That was probably my favorite. It was more strategy involved. I like the fighting games. I like the army games. Way before Call of Duty, they were games like Jackal and Operation Wolf, and those games. I played all those.
Remember that first Metal Gear game that came out? Oh man,
yeah.
Dude, I was just gonna say Metal Gear.
I was a big Metroid fan too. I loved it.
Oh, see, we're from the same.
It was tough, though.
Man, Metroid was a challenge. You had to get those flips just right. Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
bouncing
kids,
off walls and stuff.
Kids, man, today they have no idea what real video games are.
I'll tell you guys the one thing no kid knows what this means, but I guarantee the three of us on this live, people in the chat, my son, he's 21, my daughter's 16, they do not know what up, down, left, right, BA select start means.
Yep.
Unlimited lives on Contra.
None of them ever took on Mike Tyson either. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, I played Punch Out all the time.
I could beat down was it Joe Glass or Glass Joe? Or
Glass Joe.
But as you kept going further on, Mike Tyson one punch and you were.
Man, I've watched recent videos. There's YouTube videos of people playing that. It's like it brings back like the memories just bum rush me, man. All those characters and all the different having to do all the different strategies, and then when you
that would be awesome content for a video. Actually, take a kid, 10, 12-year-old kid, and put them on a original Nintendo system and watch them just get demolished on Punch Out.
That would be viral with all the preloaded games, and I was playing Contra the other day. I was like, man, this is ruthless. Like, you die and you got to start all over. What the heck? This is cutthroat, man.
Gary said Paperboy.
Dude,
that was a good game.
That was a classic game. I love that
darn
game.
Dog coming out of nowhere and wiping you out. Come on, man.
See that?
Man, we all got so good at putting that paper right on the doorstep. We all did. We like.
My dad. I was real close to my dad. Me and my dad was best friends. We would go to the mall. My mom and my brother they'd want to go shopping, and I was like, heck with that. But they had an arcade in our mall, and me and my dad would play as long as I wanted to play, and there was a Pizza Hut right next door, so we'd go my brother and my mom be shopping, and me and my dad be at Pizza Hut eating pizza and playing video games. So
I imagine those are some great memories. Like those are the good old days right there, man.
Oh man, I miss the arcades.
Yeah,
it's arcades.
Growing up, Jimmy and I growing up together in Mesa, Arizona, we had about a mile from my house. So back in the day when we were a little bit more, knees weren't as shot or anything, we used to walk to the.
Still had cartilage in our knees.
Yeah, we actually had cartilage still, and hips weren't as We used to walk to this arcade. It was called the Nickel Factory, and every game was a nickel. So we would take $5 each, and we'd be there from open to close. I mean, it was
so fun, man.
And playing, Mickey Thompson, was it Mickey Thompson's off-road?
Yeah, off-road.
And then I remember it was like so state-of-the-art. Do you guys remember that? Darn it, the name escapes me now, but the game was a hologram. It was like a knight, like a guy, like
Dragon Lair.
Dragon's Lair,
yes. I mean, and then when the first was it Pit Fighter was the first, right before Mortal Kombat came out, there was a game called Pit Fighter.
Yeah.
The guys looked almost like real people. And I mean, I just remember my jaw dropped. I was like, this is it. Video games will never get more advanced than this.
Right.
We have peaked. It's 1990. We have peaked in video games, you know.
Yeah. I was big into the sports games too.
Madden.
I love
Madden changed my life.
Yeah, but I love Tecmo Bowl and Super Bowl.
Oh yeah.
Tecmo put out, a lot of people don't talk about it, but they put out a great baseball game and a basketball game
Tecmo
as well.
Baseball was it, man. So, I don't know. Baseball Stars was pretty good too. I remember Baseball Stars.
Baseball Stars.
I remember RBI baseball. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I mean,
it was everything that was great about 8-bit.
Tecmo Bowl was more the, that was the nerd in me. Like, it kept really good stats, and it was like you could keep really good stats. And man, I used to love to go. I'd spend more time looking at the stats than actually playing the game.
I would too. Yeah.
Yep, I remember that. That's good old memories, man.
Oh, when they first started coming out with the sports games that had the real players, because I loved what was that one game, Bases Loaded. I loved that game, but they didn't have the real players.
Right.
And I was like, oh man, if they ever come out with a game with real players, that's just going and keep real stats. That's it. Because I'm a numbers guy anyway. So
Tommy said Bases Loaded.
Bases Loaded. I played much of that, man. Me and Tommy, I think's the same age. I'm 43, so I think we're the same age.
Right,
I'm 1 year ahead of you. I'll be 2 years ahead of you next month, but right now I'm 1 year ahead of you.
Oh, you're 44?
Yep.
Yeah.
No, you're 43, Jimmy.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, you'll be 44 next month.
See, I already don't know how old.
What year was you born?
We're centennial babies, 76.
76. I was 77, so I'm a year behind you.
So another quick funny story about. So I don't know if you
don't even know how old I am now. I gotta go. See you guys later.
So this is dangerous asking Jimmy if he remembers this now because he doesn't even remember how old he is. But I remember because Jimmy and I both had Nintendos. And there was a video game store that, again, was by my house. And for some reason, the guy that worked it liked my mom. So we didn't have a credit card back at the time, family of poor Mexicans. So he would let my mom rent a Sega system without having to use a credit card. So one night on a Friday, I'm sitting in my house and Jimmy calls me, right? My mom, son, Jimmy's on the phone. Hey, what up? What are you doing? Nothing, just playing Sega Genesis. And I'm like, my mom rented me one for the weekend.
Yeah.
Come over. So I don't know if his mom drove him, but within 15 minutes, he was in my bedroom and we're sitting there playing the original. It was either Madden or Joe Montana football.
Joe, that was a terrible game.
That was terrible.
We didn't see sunlight for 3 days after that.
Yeah.
My room stank like farts and smelly feet and soda.
Taco Bell wrappers.
Taco Bell wrappers everywhere.
Yeah.
I think after the Nintendo, the original Nintendo, that's what I went with, I think, was the Sega Genesis. And then I had the Nintendo 64, I believe. Yep. And then PlayStation 2. And that was the last system I bought, was PlayStation 2.
So at one point when I was 18, I worked at a pawn shop. So the geek in me, at one point, I'm not exaggerating, I had a Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega, the Sega CD, the Sega 32X. I had a Panasonic 3DO, an Atari Jaguar, a Sega Saturn. I literally had 10 or 12 video game systems because I got them cheap from the pawn shop I worked at. And so I had this massive collection.
That's the new thing again.
What's that?
That's like the thing again. Everybody's buying up all those systems and collecting them. That's the.
Hey, somebody asked earlier, what was I vaping? It's just abuse. So the reason why I do this, I was a 20-plus year smoker, and they got me to quit smoking cigarettes. It's still not the greatest for you in the world, but it's better than my $400 a month cigarette habits, now a $20 a month cigarette vaping habit. So got me to quit smoking. Jimmy enjoys it because he doesn't have to smell my cigarettes when we would go sourcing anymore.
Yeah, man. I got to the point where I was like, I can't go, because I have allergies, and I was like, man, the last time anyway. So long story short, I'm glad he stopped doing that.
Frank mentioned renting the systems. How crazy was that? I remember that. I probably could have bought 2 or 3 Nintendos for the amount of money I spent renting. We could rent them on, I think, Friday evenings and keep them till Mondays. Yeah. So, man, that's how we'd do on weekends growing up.
Because we had to walk. It was called Scottsdale Video, and we'd be walking with that suitcase bag. I'm surprised nobody jacked us, man.
Yeah.
Walking with that Sega suitcase, just one game in the hand. Like we had Madden in the other hand, Sega suitcase in the other. We thought we were big stuff, man.
And then we had to pay an extra $2 for the second controller. Remember?
Right.
Yeah. You had to pay an extra $2 for the second controller. So.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Which to this day, almost 30 years later, or it is 30 years later, still can't figure out why it was called Scottsdale Video, but it was in Mesa, Arizona. Scottsdale was like 30 miles from Mesa, but yeah.
Because Scottsdale was upscale,
Right.
They had to go with that big name.
We always remember we used to have to kind of decide, did we want to rent a Sega this weekend or are we going to rent a Super Nintendo this weekend? It was like
Sega won most of the time.
Yeah, because Sega was always the bad boy system. Remember when Mortal Kombat came out? Nintendo grayed out all the blood because it was more of a family-oriented system, and Sega was like, screw that. We're gonna go for people, the junkies or whatever, and
They had a bunch of exclusive games too. Sega did.
Mm-hmm. Sonic, man, woo!
Sonic was awesome.
Yep. Who had Altered Beast? Remember that game, Altered Beast?
I believe that was Sega. I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, that was the first. That was the first game that came with the system.
Right.
I never messed with it. I remember there was a TurboGrafx was another video game system out in that time. Then the original Sega Master System, is that what it was called? The original Sega?
Yeah,
I never got into those systems. That was Nintendo.
No, I didn't either.
Sega came out.
Sonny gonna be 40 years. You're still so Steampunk Town. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Them young whippersnappers.
I wanted the Nintendo just because I saw what my friends had, so we could trade games. If you was the only one with a Sega, then you couldn't trade games because we would trade games all the time. Take them to school.
I was jealous of on the Nintendo, Super Nintendo, was the audio was so superior to Sega's audio.
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
Yeah, the sound quality, again, I was always a big wrestling junkie. So if you played WWE Monday Night Raw on Sega, and then you played it on Super Nintendo, the wrestlers' entrance music was so much better on the Super Nintendo than the Sega Genesis.
I guess I just never noticed it.
It wasn't until the Sega CD came out that the audio quality became better, and then they added the 32X to the top of the CD.
No Money G, thanks for coming in and hanging out with us, G.
That stuff's hard to find too. Older video game systems like that, the ones that wasn't very popular, it's so hard to find.
And when you do find it, they got it priced right. They got it priced to market.
Did you ever have a Sega Dreamcast?
My brother did. Yeah, I don't know what he did with it either because I think they're worth pretty good money, I believe.
See, after after Frank moved back to Colorado, I definitely went Nintendo. I didn't do much Sega stuff after that. It was all Nintendo, Super Nintendo.
Golden Axe. That was a great game.
Because then it was PlayStation. I had the original PlayStation was like, I didn't even know what I was looking at. I was like, this is the most amazing graphics. When that first Madden came out on PlayStation, I was like,
yeah,
they're real football players.
Yeah. I love the NCAA games too.
Yep.
You ever see those Facebook memes where it says like a decision was made and there's like the package of toilet paper left in the beer section?
Yeah.
So when I got my first PlayStation, a decision was made. Do I pay the rent or do I buy a PlayStation?
Right.
I was playing PlayStation that night. The rent could wait another payday to, I was like, yeah, I got to buy this system. This thing looks, again, at that point, I was like, we've peaked.
Yep.
It's never going to get any better than this. Well, but I was that way when Sega, the Sega CD came out and games like Night Trap and Sewer Shark that had the real live action actors playing them. I was like, this is it. This is the way it's going to go. And then remember the Sega Channel? It was a premium you could buy on your local cable network. and you could just play video games through your television. It was called the Sega Channel.
I
I don't remember that.
We had that here in Denver back in the early 90s.
Tommy, I did not own a Dreamcast until I was like 42. I just recently bought one to resell. I never had one.
My brother had one for a little while, but I just remember playing it a few times.
The football game for the Sega Dreamcast was really good. I actually thought it was better than the Madden that was coming out at the same time.
Yeah.
I thought it was better.
One of the better games, because I sold a Dreamcast game. It was like NFL Blitz or NFL something, like one of those street type games. It was worth a lot of, or NFL Street might even be what it was on the Dreamcast. That one, I bought that, and that's still really good. I don't remember exactly which title it was, but on the Dreamcast, it did really good. If I remember right. Maybe I'm thinking of the GameCube too, who knows. Never had a GameCube either.
I had one for a short while. I didn't care for it.
Now, I've had them since because they've been on my shelf on the floor, but I've never actually.
3 of them sitting over here.
Yeah. I've got more systems now than I've ever had.
It's so weird. Like, it's so weird that like all these systems I've never had as a kid. Now I'm in my 40s and I've had them all now. Like I had what do we have? A Magnavox Odyssey 2. Me and Frank each had one of those. Like I didn't even heard of a Magnavox Odyssey 2, but then I had one in my 40s.
I'll usually buy when I buy lots of games and systems. If I don't have the system, I'll keep it and just sell the games just to keep it for testing purposes. But I think I don't have a lot. I've just got like 5 or 6 systems.
Then,
I sold all my consoles. The only thing I have is my PlayStation 4 right here.
Yeah.
Yard sales hurt. I talked about that in my last video. Like, man, I was going to buy more consoles and I wanted to move into more electronics this summer, and yard sales went.
Yeah, Amanda said she mentioned originally she said home rub derby. That was done in a different room of the house, but one of the few games my wife loved to play was we would get like a baseball game and we would sit there and play home run derby against each other. And I will admit it, she would whoop my tail all the time in home run derby.
I believe it.
It wouldn't help that I would pick like Alex Cole or something like that as my batter, and she'd have like Cecil Fielder or something like that. I kind of made sure she had the good players, you know. But.
Cecil Fielder, he was awesome.
You were Walt Weiss, and she was Cecil Fielder.
I used to work with Cecil Fielder's ex-sister-in-law.
Oh, really?
Her sister used to be married to him, and is actually the mom of what's his boy's name, Prince Fielder.
Prince Fielder, yep.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So Prince Fielder was her nephew.
Wow.
Yeah.
Frankie said they don't have any Atari or Sega, but they have all the systems except for Super Nintendo. How do you not have a Super Nintendo? Xbox One and Nintendo Switch. I'm trying to get a Switch. That's kind of on my list of things I want to eventually own and then eventually sell.
I sold 4 things yesterday. One of them was a broken PS3, and the other 3 were video games. All 4 things were video game related yesterday.
Well, if you saw my last video, I picked up those games that were in the trash can. I sold all 3 of those DS games already. They're already gone.
That's crazy.
I listed them, and they were out the door.
Yeah, video games.
I think I made just over $50. So I got my $25 back that I paid for that lot.
Right.
And so because I had $50 in sales on those DS games alone. Like,
yeah,
and I got those in the trash, man. Yeah, games are hot right now for sure.
Hot.
They would fight over Jose Canseco.
Yeah.
Jose Canseco. Man, the Bash Brothers. Frank was a huge Canseco fan for sure.
Do you remember his brother, Ozzy?
They were twins, right?
Yeah, they were twins, but for whatever reason, he was never as good. I don't think he could hit the curveball. But I used to go watch the Chattanooga Lookouts play a lot, and they played the Huntsville. I don't remember their name, Huntsville something, but they were the A's affiliate team. Right. And Ozzy was there one night, and man, he hit a home run. I don't think the ball's landed yet. It had to be 450 feet. Wow. It was the hardest hit ball I ever seen in my life. He was jacked up just like Jose was.
I'll tell you one of the funnest things. I wasn't always a huge baseball fan, but my brother working with the Colorado Rockies back in '98 when they held the All-Star game here, And my brother got my dad and I tickets to the home run derby the day before the All-Star game. We went to the All-Star game as well. But that day before, and that was right at the peak of Sosa, McGuire, Bonds. Man, I felt sorry for the scoreboard during the pre-home run derby when the guys were just practicing. They beat the heck out of the scoreboard in left field because those balls were bouncing. I mean, back then, Coors Field was a launching pad before they put the door to take some of the velocity off the balls. It was ridiculous. I mean,
I used to go watch the Lookouts play a lot. Back then they were affiliate of the Reds. So I would go watch them 2 or 3 times a year anyways. And one of my highlights was because that was the AA system that Jordan played.
Oh, okay.
So I went and watched the Lookouts when they played Birmingham Barons. I probably stood 5, and well, after I tell the story about Jeff Jarrett, I say I'm not a fanboy, but I was totally a fanboy that day. But when I was about 12, 13, whenever it was he played, I went and watched him, and I stood 5, 6 feet away from him. And that was probably the highlight of my childhood because I was such a huge Jordan fan. I mean, who wasn't back then? But to be that close to him, to watch him play, he was 0 for 5. The first 4 at bats he struck out, but the last at bat he had a sacrifice fly, and that ended up being the game-winning run. So that was pretty cool.
I'll tell you, I tell my son and I tell people, and Jimmy will know this when I mention the name, the baseball player with in my opinion, the most perfect, beautiful swing, and it's an iconic looking at his swing.
Griffey.
Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah.
Oh my! And this dude was the hugest Griffey fan growing up.
I still have my majestic. That thing's worth like almost $300. I have my majestic, authentic Griffey Jr. that I wore in the '90s.
He almost come to the Braves one time.
He should have went to the Braves because man.
Yeah. Oh man, he was still good too, man. He, and his dad played for the Braves for years. Yeah. I was wanting him to come so bad because he was so good.
Yeah, he made everything look effortless. Even his fielding, it was all just effortless. Like he wasn't he was just jogging.
It was just natural.
Yeah.
Didn't him and his dad both hit a home run in the same game?
Same game.
Yep. Back to back or just?
I think it was back to back. Yeah, I believe his dad batted third. I believe, and Griffey Jr. was batting fourth. And I believe they went back to back.
Dude, I used to love Mark Grace too. He played for the Diamondbacks for a while too. Mark Grace.
Yeah, he did. Mm-hmm.
I met Mark Grace at the elementary school I went to in Arizona. They were during spring training. He was doing an autograph signing there. I think me and you and Joseph went to that. Jimmy, didn't your mom drop us off for that? Do you remember that?
I don't think I met Mark Grace.
Maybe it wasn't you. Maybe it was me and my brother went.
I remember that because I mean, when I growing up, like you guys said, WGN, I was watching. You guys were watching the Braves. I was watching the Cubs. Yeah. And Mark Grace, when I was a teenager and I liked some skateboarding, and he almost had that like skater hairdo when he was younger, and I always thought I just kind of idolized him a little bit as a younger age.
I watched so much baseball when I was a kid. Like I said, my dad was a huge Braves fan, and if you watched back then, we had one TV, so 635. If you was watching TV, you was watching the Braves, whether you wanted to or not. You had two options. You could watch it or go outside.
It's so crazy because, I'm a Rockies fan now. I was a Diamondbacks fan for a while when I was living in Arizona. I'm not even going to go to why I don't like them anymore. A lot of stuff on their upper management went to crap. But it's so funny that I can name like that infield for the Cubs from back. I can still name Mark Grace, Ryan Sandberg, Sean Dunston, Vance Law, and Damon Berryhill. Yeah. I can still name that entire infield, but I can't tell you the entire infield of my favorite team right now, the Rockies. Like, I can't even tell you that.
Yeah. Tommy's talking about David Justice. The best thing about David Justice was he used to be married to
Halle Berry.
Halle Berry. Yeah.
Yep.
I love Justice though until he went to the Yankees, and that just
had a nice swing too, man. Justice had a nice swing too.
He did have a good swing.
Another great swing way back in the day was Darryl Strawberry.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
The thing I loved about Griffey too was he made wearing a hat like this to wearing a hat like this.
Yeah,
cool.
He made it cool.
He made it cool. I mean, I got a pair of Griffey Nike tennis shoes that I sourced at a thrift store, and the logo on the back is him in that beautiful swing, but the hat is backward on the
Oh, that what was it? 1989 Upper Deck rookie card of his. Was it 89?
Yep.
Yeah, that was the Holy Grail. Yeah.
Number one card is number one.
Want to hear the greatest story known to man that Jimmy's brother, 30 years later, is still salty about? So we wanted to go to a card show. I didn't have no money. So Jimmy's mom gave me the $1 or whatever it was to enter the card show. So me, Jimmy, and his brother, we go to the card show, and they give you a raffle ticket when you walk in for a prize they're going to raffle off. So at the end of the show, they raffle off an 89 Upper Deck factory sealed baseball set. And I won it. Jimmy's brother won the runner-up prize, which was an 88 Topps or 89 Bowman set. And his brother was so PO'd because I won the Upper Deck set, because that was like the holy grail of sets to have.
Right.
And I got the set that even back in 1989 was worth $100, $150, and he got the set that was worth like $10 maybe.
I mean, he was kind of insistent that my mom bought that ticket, so that's actually my prize.
Yeah. I see Harry's throwing out some old names. Mark Lemke and Jeff Blauser. Yeah, I remember
Mark
those guys.
Lemke, man.
That was my childhood right there.
Jeff, I remember those names.
I'll be honest with you, I was a massive, huge Atlanta Braves fan.
Oh, I loved them. I still love them. I love watching Acuna Jr. Oh my God, he is. You want to talk about somebody that's effortless? He's the closest thing I've seen to Griffey Jr. since Griffey Jr. He's so smooth.
Jennifer's been having a little bit of trouble with that heater for a while now. I've been watching in the chat, Jennifer.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering what those comments were earlier in the chat, Jennifer. I don't know if you were apologizing to me or my son.
Having trouble with that heater. Hey guys, we've been on for an hour and a half. I got to get going. I could hang out and talk with you guys all day for sure. But yeah, we gotta eventually at some point end this show. I got some things I gotta do. I know you guys probably got some stuff you gotta get to. But it's been awesome hanging out with you guys. We gotta do this again, Chris. Like, we could talk for hours with you for sure, man.
I can talk toys, wrestling, and sports all day.
Yeah, we'll have to do this again. Maybe we'll set you. I'll definitely. And I won't wait too long either. We'll have you back on if you're cool with that. Maybe I could come and visit you on your show. Frank can come visit you on one of your shows eventually. The Young Guns. Make sure you guys check out Chris's channel. He does a live show, and he's starting to do some good pre-recorded stuff. He's got the Young Guns of Reselling. He does some really good interviews. Make sure you check out his channel if you haven't yet. Go over there, subscribe, hit that bell so you get a notification. Of course, make sure you subscribe to Frank. We switch back and forth every day. Tomorrow we'll be on his channel. It'll be we don't have anything lined up for tomorrow, so it'll just be me and Frank talking. If you guys want to hang out with us, chat with us in the chat. As you learned today, make sure you keep an eye out for He-Man toys, wrestling figures. If you can find yourself a Holy Grail Megatron, get that. And do not discriminate when you're looking for those wrestling figures, because the women wrestlers are worth just as much as the men wrestlers. Chris is like, oh, shit. So anyways, having too much fun with that, guys. Everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We will be back on again tomorrow on, which side are you on? You're on that Frank's channel tomorrow. Make sure you tune in and hang out with us. Chris, thank you so much, man. We had a blast.
Thank you, guys.
With that, I'm going to say bye to everyone. Thanks for hanging out and having a good time and making us laugh.
Thanks, guys.
I salute.